What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to get into, I know you've seen, everybody has seen, heard about the Black Hawk helicopter, the crash. Of course, the left is trying to make Trump look bad, like he's just, oh, he doesn't care. He's blaming this or that. We're going to get into it. We're going to look at some of the videos. We're going to look at some stuff from CNN. We're going to look at some stuff from Fox News. We're going to try to put it together and see what we can kind of find out for ourselves. Of course, no matter what we do and what we say, we know that the left is going to spin it as Trump's a bad guy. Trump doesn't care. Trump doesn't care about people. All Trump cares about is Trump and what Trump can have and what he wants. The dictator of the world. The real fact of the matter is lives were lost, and we need to figure out what went wrong. It doesn't matter. Let's not just sit here and play a blame game. Left or right doesn't matter. I don't agree with any side sitting there saying, "Oh, it's this is." But let's figure out what actually happened, what went wrong, and why these people lost their lives. We understand things do happen. That is life, but we don't know. All right, guys, let's get it. We're gonna look at a couple of videos. We're gonna see what we can figure out for ourselves. See what you think. So let's do it.
Bring in Elizabeth McCormick, a former Black Hawk helicopter pilot, and Cedric Layton, CNN military analyst and retired Air Force colonel. Elizabeth, let me start with you. An Army pilot who has flown Black Hawk helicopters, like you, in this area around Reagan National Airport, told CNN's reporter Haley Pritzky that the Army's flights are routinely planned down to the tiniest detail. This pilot said that based on the risk, the briefer will approve or disapprove parts of the flight plan. That assessment is then run by the unit's commander, then submitted to the FAA. So if it went through all of those levels, the question, of course, is just how could this have happened?
Well, I believe there's three things that happened. If it had just been one, it wouldn't have been an issue. But three different things happened. First of all, they only had a crew of 3, and if you're flying a visual flight plan in a crowded airspace like this, they really should have had 2 crew chiefs in the back of the helicopter to clear each side, as the pilots only have visibility from straight ahead 12 to 3 o'clock, or 12 from not to 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. So you only have visibility of the front 180 degrees. Your crew chiefs clear the back. If you only have one crew chief, how much can you clear? So I think that was a major issue.
So
as
that's
well
interesting.
as the yeah. Go ahead.
Keep going. Well, so are you?
So just real quick, like saying they went through the checks. 3 things happened. She's saying that she believes happened, and she was uh, has operated Black Hawk, flew them. They had a crew. 3 that should have had more. Is what she's saying.
Saying instead of a crew of 3, it should have been a crew of 4. How many people should have been on the helicopter? And then please continue with your other 2 points.
Yes, so 3 is a minimum crew for a Black Hawk helicopter. In my opinion, when you're going into visual flight mode in a crowded airspace like this, it should be a minimum of 4. So you have a pilot on each side for visibility. That's the first one. The second one is, it is, whether they were on night vision goggles at that time or not, it is a very cluttered airspace with a lot of lighting and the lights reflecting on the river. And so with that, it's easy to kind of get a little disoriented as far as the height. They were supposed to be at 200 feet, which is the helicopter routing in that area, and it wouldn't have been a conflict, but they were not at 200 feet. Obviously, reportedly, the incident happened at around 350 to 400 feet as the airliner was descending. So that they were at the wrong height. So that's a pilot error. The first would be a policy error or choice. And then the third is air traffic control said, do you have the CRJ in sight? Well, there were two aircraft in their field of view, and actually only one was really obvious to them. And that was if you watch the video, the aircraft taking off in the foreground is probably the one they were facing, the pilots were facing, and said, yeah, I got it. The air traffic control should have said, do you have the aircraft at 5 o'clock? So they were looking at the rear. If they had done that, the Black Hawk is maneuverable. The Black Hawk could have moved out of the way quickly. They can move on a dime and make that happen.
All right, guys. So just to be clear of what this Black Hawk helicopter pilot has said, number one, that three things happened, of course, and evidently there is some incompetence here, as Trump had said, some incompetence. I don't know from who exactly, um, but they had a crew. They should have had four. They had three. She recommends that they should have a minimum of four for visibility. Number two, they were at 200 feet. Should have been at 200 feet. And they were at 350 to 400 feet. In the airspace was another problem that went wrong. And third, it looks like another on incompetence. Air control should have been able to see and let them know that there was something else there. So, just from what she's saying here to me, makes a lot of sense that there was some incompetence going on here. All right, now we're going to take a little bit of look from some Fox News clips here and see what's going on and what they're saying about the same situation.
Meantime, the Black Hawk helicopter involved in that midair collision was reportedly flying higher than approved and outside of its flight path. And we're learning the crew inside the Black Hawk was made up of experienced pilots, with the instructor having more than 1,000 flying hours. Congressman Tom Barrett is a former Black Hawk pilot, joins me now. Congressman,
another former Black Hawk pilot.
These things. What possible explanation could there be for the helicopter flying higher than it was supposed to?
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me on today. And just want to, of course, it goes without saying, our prayers, our hearts are with all the families of the souls on board that lost their lives. This was an absolute tragic accident. And, you know, this investigation is going to tell us, hopefully, some of the causative factors that led to this. And these unfortunate mishaps always have an investigation that follows, and then a reconstruction of the facts that led up to it, to allow us to learn some of the lessons that we can apply going forward to make this, to really ensure that we have safety for both civilian and military air crews that are, converging in the same area, to make sure things like this don't happen again. I serve on the aviation subcommittee of the Transportation Infrastructure Committee, where I know we are going to take an exhaustive look at this. But as you know, these flight paths and the congestion that was taking place, I think it's not unreasonable to look at some of the audio of what took place, the acknowledgement by the Black Hawk flight crew that they had seen the aircraft. Is it possible that perhaps they were identifying the wrong aircraft that they were deconflicting their space with? There are a lot of questions that we have here that are yet to be answered, that I expect a thorough investigation to reveal for us.
Originally on our show, on our A block, we had a guest, an NTSB former investigator, who basically said these Black Hawks should be nowhere near Reagan International Airport. Do you agree with that? Should these training missions be taking place this close or in the vicinity of Reagan?
Well, I will say that there is a safe way to have aircraft operating in the same area, where you can deconflict aircraft that are passing through versus aircraft that are taking off and landing. Everyone has to be aware of their surroundings. Every pilot has to be mindful of other aircraft operating in the area, and you have to listen to the air traffic control guidance that you get. So it's not just as simple as saying, well, aircraft can't be in a congested area. I mean, aircraft are always in a congested area near an airport. Now, there's safe ways to do that. There are corridors that can be established. There are separation of airspace that can be developed. But at the end of the day, we're going to have aircraft that are operating near an airport, whether they're civilian or military, that are all coming and going at different times. That requires coordination. That's why we have air traffic controllers. That's why we have airspace that is divided up in certain ways. And I think there are going to be some lessons learned from this that we have to apply going forward, so that we can make sure that we continue to have safe airline travel, and that we keep our military and civilian air crews safe, because these things should never happen. And we have to make sure that the lessons learned from this going forward are applied to keep everyone safe.
But quickly, the controller, it's been reported, was doing the job typically assigned to 2 air traffic controllers. Do you think that could have played a role in this crash?
Absolutely.
Well, I think it's absolutely a question that we need to have answered is, was the workload too heavy? Was there other factors at play? And these are all things, again, that come about through an investigation. They're going to look all the way back to, did the crew have enough rest the night before all of this took place? Both the airline crew, the military crew. You know, one thing I am interested in looking at is, should we outfit our military aircraft with the collision avoidance system that the civilian airliners have? Those
Looks
systems
like
only
it.
work if the two aircraft can talk to one another through their transponders. If one has it and one doesn't, oftentimes that won't alert the other pilot that there could be a midair collision. Those are things that we need to look into and decide whether or not these need to be updated, and if systems need to be in place to prevent that from happening.
Sure.
Would it have prevented this accident? That's a question that remains open right now. But these are all things that we need to gather more facts around, and I'm committed to making sure that the lessons we learn from this, as this is reconstructed and we go back to the very beginning of how this took place, hours before even this collision occurred, what can we apply going forward to make sure that we keep everyone safe going forward, both from the Army, from the civilian side, for the entire aviation network?
You are on the House Aviation
Yep.
Subcommittee. You will be getting us those answers. Congressman Tom Barrett, thank you.
We did hear President Trump responding to the tragedy. He blamed Democrats, he blamed diversity initiatives for the midair collision. CNN's Caitlin Collins asked a question of the president on his claims.
We don't even yet know the names of the 67 people who were killed, and you are blaming Democrats and DEI policies and air traffic control and seemingly the member of the U.S. military who was flying that Black Hawk helicopter. Don't you think you're getting ahead of the investigation right now?
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think were the names of the people. You mean the names of the people that are on the plane? You think that's going to make a difference?
Does it comfort their families
They
to
are
hear you
a
blaming
group of
DEI
people that have
policies?
lost their lives. If you want a list of the names, we can give you that.
Here they go. They're going to trash it.
And, Jeff Zeleny is with us now. Pete Montine joining us as well. Jeff, let's go to you first. This pivot immediately to politics. Tell us about this.
Brianna, it was nearly an instant pivot. The president walked into the briefing room, asked for a moment of silence, and he talked about the anguished hour of the nation. And then he specifically launched into a litany of really baseless claims that diversity initiatives inside this government are to blame for air traffic control shortages and perhaps the staffing that was on board. Now, when he was pressed on these claims, asking what evidence does he have that it led to any of it, he basically says he doesn't, but then he said it's common sense. In another breath, he also seemed to place some blame, or at least point some blame, to the Army soldiers on the Black Hawk helicopter. So look, the reality of this is we have seen every president, as long as the television age has existed, come and speak to the nation, before that on radio, of course, and offer a measure of comfort, of concern. We heard that, but we heard so much blame that was placed. Brown, very reminiscent of.
We heard that. He did what he was supposed to do, but he also said blame. Well, somebody is to blame.
The first Trump administration placing blame on this. But the reality is, when you look a little careful here, he blamed the Obama administration, the Biden administration. He served between those two presidents, as we well know. And many of these initiatives that he was talking about were actually in place during his administration. But never mind any of that. That really is all sort of background noise here to the fact that he clearly now is in charge of his government. And this is his federal workforce that is under assault in many respects. There are open questions, open positions at so many agencies, including the FAA. So regardless of the blame being pointed around, the reality here is this is happening on his watch. And it's his administration's a burden now to get to the bottom of this.
Oh, yes, it's almost crazy to even hear. Every time you listen to the news and you listen to you go to CNN, you go to Fox, because I check both. I check both to see what's going on, because I know that the lunatic lefties over there are saying one thing, and then the right saying another. But yeah, and trust me, I'm not piling every Democrat into one lump sum as crazy liberals. Like, you shouldn't take every Republican and say that they're right wing MAGA cult members. I really and truly think that we need to come together. Once again, if we could come together, if you could just stop thinking crazy orange man, and we could just say, look, okay, stop crazy. There's crazy on both sides. Trust me, there's crazy lunatics on both sides. I am sure of it. You got all kinds of different people in the world, and they're separating us. You're letting them do it to us for sure. You think about it. I mean, I remember a time, that that wasn't even a thing. You don't. I've got plenty of friends. I can tell you right now, I've got friends that are probably on the right. I got friends that are on the left. I care about them both. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we may see things a little bit differently, but there's some common ground there for sure. I am positive that if you just stop hating one another, if you stop hating Trump, stop hating Biden. I don't hate Biden. I don't hate Biden. I don't wish him death. I don't wish anything bad for the man. He wasn't a great president. He wasn't good. That's just a fact. I really wish that you'd stop letting the government separate everybody the way that we do. Because if you think about it and you really want to get down to it, I bet you could put us all in a room, lefts, rights, and we could get along. We could get along. Being different's okay. That'll help us figure things out. We can discuss it and talk about it. We don't have to hate each other. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you get something out of it. I hope that you can not look at the crazy lefts and think that everybody is that way. Yeah, there's some extremes out there on the left. It's so as there is on the right. Let's just not categorize everybody into one thing, because we're not all that way. Care about all people. I do. I'm sure you do too. That's going to do it for this one. Hope you enjoyed the video. I wish it was something a little more positive, but hey, it's what it is. And guys, we'll see you on the next one.